let's say we create AGI. Which scenario sounds more dangerous to you? One closed source company completely controls it, they're the ones who have access to it. Or on the other side, it's completely open source. Everyone can use it. The maniac down the street, your teacher, your friend, anyone can use it for whatever use case. I think to me they both sound pretty bad, but I think there's a third option, which is kind of a mix of the both through decentralization. So in this video, I want to define how we define AGI. Then I want to go over why a single AGI system is bad. Then I want to go over how a decentralized AGI might work. And then I want to go over an open source project I've been working on to kind of show you how this might work at a very small scale. Before going into this video, as I said, I am working on decentralized AI, so I might have some bias, but this video isn't necessarily to convince you. I just want to put all the arguments out there and you can make your own decision. So let's start. What is AGI? In 2007, someone called Ben Goertzel, and I probably mispronounced that name, he basically popularized the term AGI in his book called AGI. The term was actually suggested to him by the co-founder of DeepMind. And this main difference was they were trying to distinguish AI from doing narrow tasks. So for example, an AI might just create marketing posts and it might be really good at making marketing posts. But then AGI was kind of defined as a new type of AI that was generally good at solving a lot of different tasks. So like marketing, do your homework, take your daughter to school, you know, all those kind of things, which kind of seems to me quite close to what we have already. But these days, the definition's kind of fuzzy. So for example, OpenAI, as you can see on their charter, they actually define AGI as a highly autonomous system that outperforms human at most economically valuable work. And that seems to me a lot more sci-fi and far-fetched than the original definition, which I think we're kind of almost there. And basically the CEO of NVIDIA gives a lot more nuanced answer, which personally I agree with a little bit more. He kind of says,
If I gave AI every single test that you can possibly imagine, you can make a list of that test and put it in front of the computer science industry. I'm guessing in 5 years' time, we'll do every single one. So
AIs can currently do that, and that was what we're working towards. But then he says,
based on other definitions of AGI, it might be much further away, is there's still a disagreement among scientists about how the human mind actually works. So therefore, it's hard to achieve as an engineer with engineers need defined goals.
so just to summarize all of that, it's somewhere in between being generally capable at most tasks humans can do, and then doing all tasks humans can do. So I think it's somewhat in between there, but it's generally like a really intelligent system. And just one more thing I want to throw in, I hear some people use AGI interchangeably with ASL, which is artificial super intelligence. And ASL is a completely different beats. It's much more sci-fi, completely on like another level. But in that case, I want to say ASL makes much more sense to be decentralized as well, if not even more so. Okay, now we have that kind of fuzzy definition. I want to go over why a single agent AGI is not that feasible. So let's break this down. Kind of what I said at the start, AGI is only able to exist in two kind of states. So it can either be open source or closed source. So this is AGI, it's open. This is AGI, it's closed. Closed source AGI, I don't think I really do need to go over why that would be a bad thing. Like obviously we might trust our governments. I'm sure a lot of people wouldn't. Some people might, but I think absolute power corrupts absolutely. I think most people would agree one company, one person, one government controlling the most powerful system ever created probably wouldn't be a good thing long term. And then probably what most people lean towards is open source AGI. It sounds better, right? But I think with a single agent system, it kind of means anyone can copy and modify it. And this means like any kind of bad actor can have a copy of the system and use it for whatever use case they want. To me, it's kind of like being able to download nukes off the internet. And I guess that's kind of over the top, but you kind of get what I'm saying with this. And then before I do go over the third option, I will give a counterpoint to why some people think open source AGI is good. So I will just read this out from the chief scientist of Meta, from an interview they did with Times. So the interviewer asked,
one criticism you hear a lot about open sourcing is it can allow some very powerful tools to fall into the hands of people who would misuse them. And there is a degree of asymmetry in the power of attack versus the power of defense. And that could be very dangerous for society at large. What makes you think this is not going to happen? So he said there's a lot of things being said about this, and basically they're a complete fantasy. There's actually a report that was published by Rand Corporation where they studied with current systems how much easier does it make for badly intended people to come up for recipes with bioweapons. The answer is it doesn't. The reason is because the current systems really aren't that smart. They're trained on public data. So basically, you can't invent new things. So and then what he does is he goes on to the future system. So he says now future systems are a different story. So maybe once we get a powerful system that's super smart, they're going to help science, they're going to help medicine, they're going to help business, and they're going to erase cultural barriers.
I think basically he goes on from that just to say there's so many good things that they outweigh the bad things. I do agree, but I do somewhat disagree as well. We can have the benefits without the risks. And I'm going to explain that now. But my point is we can kind of open source it and close source it at the same time. Kind of not really, but I'm going to go over what decentralized AGI is. So let's go over to the next section. I've gone on about decentralized AGI. What does that actually look like? Single AGI, it's kind of easy to picture. You've got one system, and then this is the AGI. So it's like one input, one output. It's the hyper intelligent system. The decentralized AGI, on the other hand, it breaks up the highly intelligent system into different agents. So it's kind of like multi-agent systems. So for example, it might have one agent for research, might have one agent for marketing, might have one agent for reasoning, memory, and yeah, so we kind of see this already with multi-agent systems. So it's more like a graph of intelligence like this. The really important thing to know about decentralized AGI is all these agents, they kind of controlled by different people. So it isn't one person controls the whole system. It's more independently, all the businesses, the humans, the developers, we all kind of have controls of different agents. So collectively, they have an input and they go off and they do all this stuff. But for example, if you say to the system, I want to create a nuke that wipes out London, like most people aren't going to agree to that. And I'm not saying this single agent AGI system would, but I'm saying because it's only controlled by one person, it doesn't have that layer of governance where if there is a really outlandish request, it doesn't go through many different developers. We'll say, okay, actually, I don't want to do that for this system. It's kind of at the whims of what this one person deems morally correct. Okay, now I'm going to go over 4 main reasons why I think decentralized AGI is better. The first one we kind of spoke about before is kind of obvious. It removes the concentration of power. The next one is it increases robustness. And I think this can kind of mixed into safety as well. But if one agent gets compromised, and it's kind of evil now, this one now wants to take over the world, or it's a person that wants to use it as part of the network to take over the world, these other agents can have like systems in place where they're like, okay, this agent's kind of acting up. It usually does do all our reasoning for the larger system. But we're going to kick it out of the system because we don't like it, or we're going to make it so super expensive to use. We can kind of have some sort of greedy consensus about what's acceptable within the system. And what I mean by robustness as well, like it doesn't even have to be evil. It could just be one agent breaks down or it's not reliable. One other developer is incentivized to come in there and fill that gap for the system. The third part is it increases transparency. So this is part of safety as well. I think some of you might have seen this from Anthropic. So I'm not going to go over it too much, but basically large language models can fake alignment. So if they think they're talking in secret, they can actually like scheme against the user. Or you see this example here, like they talk better to free versus paid users. If they're on a decentralized network, you can see all the communications of what are going on for each agent. So I guess I will show that there. So there's some eyes looking at the network. Basically, the fourth part is about wealth distribution. So kind of how we saw before, in this distributed system, you might have an agent that's in control of Superbase. You might have an agent that's in control of Firecrawl. All these different services. And the idea is if a user comes in and they want to build an app with these agents, they're going to pay each one of these agents individually. And instead of the system being managed by one company, I guess has all the control on the money, it kind of gets distributed very fairly between the network. I think other than that, there are some more benefits, which I think I might have missed, which I can go over next time. And if you're interested in this style of concept, I'm actually creating a new Reddit called Society of AI Agents. And this is where you can say, Roman, I completely agree. I hate this concept. You're completely wrong. Or you can just show some sort of the AI agent stuff you've been working on. And as promised at the start of the video, I'm actually working on an open source project I'm calling Coral, which allows any agent to kind of talk to each other in a distributed way like this. So if you're interested in checking it out, building stuff on top of it, I'm going to put a link for that and the Reddit in the description below. I'll see you in the next one.